James Barry. Hello.
Hello, Emily.
Oh my goodness. Today I am wearing this shirt because it is because of this shirt that I first got to meet you. You beelined across the room through like 30, 40 people, and you came over to shake my hand because you thought I was with the carnivore bar.
I
And
did.
I have never been so happy to be misunderstood or mistaken for somebody else. Because that started, our conversation.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. And I was laughing with Philip and his wife about it because I was like, that's who I mistook you for, was I thought you was his wife.
Yeah, it's so funny because I'll look at pictures of her now and I'm like, we could be sisters. I see it.
There is a slight, I mean, it's not as close as I had only seen her. God, I had seen her once in person, but it was like a year or 2 years before. So that's why yeah, but it's close enough where, yes, it was like, is that her? And you were standing right next to him. So I just assumed.
Yeah, and I was wearing the shirt.
And you're wearing the shirt. You're like walking brand, marketing for them. So I was like, well, it's got to be someone working with them.
Absolutely. And it's so funny because I have been like, that's the only thing that I have marketed because it's the only thing that I could eat. Like everything else, like there's just a little bit of something in the seasonings and stuff. And then I was introduced to Pluck. And oh my gosh, like it was so awesome to be able to add that into what I eat because I don't have a lot of variety or variation. And I never was able to tolerate organs. Tell anybody who doesn't know what Pluck is, tell them a little bit about what you got. And I'm going to show the website while you're talking.
Yeah. So Pluck is for people that don't want to eat organ meats, but want to benefit from them. So what we did was we took freeze-dried powdered organ meats and we combined them with organic spices and herbs. Now, the one you're taking is what we call pure, which is just the organ meats.
Yeah.
That's ideal for people that are, strict carnivore or just want to maximize the organ meat nutrition. But the other three are seasonings. And the carnivore bar actually uses two of our seasonings in their bars. They put the barbecue, honey barbecue, and then there's zesty garlic. And so
Yes.
I've had a relationship with them for a while from that, and so I think it's exciting that that's the one company you've been attached to because they're a great company and great people, and it's a great product.
Yeah. And I was so grateful because I do react to onion and garlic. And I was so grateful that you had an option that was pure, literally pure for
Yeah,
me.
Peter. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I'm very aware of is like I've been in this industry for 20 plus years as a professional chef. And I specialize in helping people with their diets, helping them to work around swaps, work with their protocols to make it so that they don't feel deprived and that they can actually stay true to the protocol that that doctor or that health practitioner had prescribed to them. And I have learned over the years that I can't there's not one product out there that works for everybody. You know what I mean? Like I can't make the seasoning blend that is going to be universal. Because even you could say, well, we'll just put salt in. It's like, no, there's some people that still don't do salt. It's like there's always going to be something that someone can or can't do. And so I just thought, well, why don't we just put out just the organ meats and let people add that to their own seasoning blends to make their own pluck? To me, it just seemed like it was a it's smart to kind of give out the base the base kind of ingredient so that people can build off of it. No different than like someone giving the code to like making chat GPT or whatever they originally did like public so that other coders can learn and grow with it and or grow it. And that's kind of how I saw pure. So that's great. I love learning that it works for people, everyone's different diets. It's also great to give to your pets as well because there's no salt, there's no seasoning. So anyone with a cat or dog, like they go crazy when you put it on their food. And they also a lot of people struggle with picky pets because a lot of people, are giving them kibble and it's probably not food they would naturally eat in nature, but it's affordable and I'm not slamming it at all. I get it. But if you add a little bit of pure over that food, it will guarantee that they eat it and they won't be picky.
That's incredible. I never thought about that. I only have a cat right now. But we're eventually going to get a dog. But I love that. I think that's
Yeah,
a
you can
great
give it to your
idea.
cat. Your cat will. I have a cat that is won't eat her food unless we sprinkle it on there. So we call her the organ cat. It's half amusing and half annoying because every time she'll eat the top of it and then we'll have to sprinkle more on. So she's very demanding with her organs.
I love it. I love it. So, tell me how you got into being a professional chef. Like as a child, were you just like, fascinated with cooking, or was it just like not even on your radar? Like, how did you become James Barry,
Yeah, Chef James Berry. Um,
Chef James Barry?
yeah, I learned to scramble an egg at like the age of 7. And I was hooked. Like there was something about it that I just found so exciting. And I did not come from a household of chefs. If anything, I came from a very non-foodie household to the point where like the smoke detector went off and that's how you knew dinner was ready. Like seriously.
That sounds like me. That sounds like me. Go ahead.
Yeah, like hamburgers were called hockey pucks. That's how overcooked and hard they were. Um, so my fascination with cooking kind of was surprising. And then when I went to junior high school, they offered a culinary class. And I took that, and it was like I was an average student, but I accelerated at that class. Like I was so interested and passionate about it that I became like, I kept getting awards in the class, and I had not usually gotten any awards, and I was getting a straight A. And it was so obvious that I was really excited by it that my mom even asked if I could take it twice because normally you could only take it once and they let me. And so I did it like during school and then after school or something like that. And to this day, like when I wrote my first cookbook, I thanked that culinary teacher because she really was my first experience with someone, teaching and kind of hand holding me through making recipes and helping to like support my passion for this trade. And it wasn't until I was well, basically at a very young age, right around that age, I was like, well, I love cooking, but I'm not going to become a chef. And it was such a bizarre reason for a 12, however old I was, 12-year-olds or something like that, 12 or 13. I basically was like, well, I'm not going to become a chef because they have to work at nights and I'm a family man. Yeah, at 12 years old. So,
I love
so
that you knew you were a family man at 12 years old.
I don't know how I knew. I don't know where I got that from, but for whatever reason, I was like, okay, this is just going to be a hobby. And so then it became a hobby. Like I would try to learn as much as I could. I had a neighbor who would make some stuff from scratch and he would give me lessons sometimes. I would read magazines, cookbooks, I just kept at it. And it wasn't until 9/11. So now I'm like, I don't know, late 20s or something like that when that happened. And 9/11 happened, and I was pursuing acting and created the creative arts then through filmmaking and plays and all that kind of stuff. And
Were you in LA?
yeah, I was living in LA at the time and fully enmeshed in that, like working as an actor and doing commercials and getting small roles and working my way up. And 9/11 happened, and for whatever reason, it changed me. It just made me go, I don't think that this is what I'm here to do.
Mm.
I think I always saw the entertainment industry as like a stepping stone to then getting enough notoriety so that I could do all these other things, like create products or like write a book or to create projects that had more meaning to me, other because the acting part didn't have enough meaning to me just on its own. And so I just right then and there I was like, okay, I'm gonna audit my life. I I then thought about what I loved as a kid which was cooking. And then I was like, okay, what can I do with that? Because to me, when the thing that we love as a child is the purest form of, it's not for money, it's not for fame, it's not for anything but that you just love it. It's to me, it's more essence motivated. And so then I was just, well, what do I do with this? And I started kind of seeing these images in my mind of like, oh, well, I could private chef for in LA and how amazing that would be to be, I'd still be have like a foot in the industry because I'd be working with people that are actors, but I'd be actually helping them and like one on one. I was really excited about that one on one interaction and interacting in their lifestyle, but also supporting, positive change in their lives. And so I found a school in New York. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was called the Natural Gourmet. And I didn't have any money, and it was like $24,000. It was so expensive at the time, and I didn't have any money, and so I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. And so like for a year, I everything I brought in, whether it was birthday money or work, I would put everything aside as much as I could. And I even was substitute teaching at the time, and I sold for some reason this is very illegal. You're not supposed to do this, but it was like whatever. The school did not offer water. Like they had water faucets, but they didn't have bottled water. And the kids didn't drink from the faucet. They wanted bottled water. And a lot of them wanted it even frozen because they wanted it to melt throughout the day and have it be really cold. And as a substitute teacher, they would tell me this. And I would be like, well, okay, I'm going to go buy these water bottles. I'm going to freeze them and whatnot and then bring them to school. And I would do that and I'd sell them to the kids for $1. So over this course of the school year, the kids paid for me to go to culinary school.
I love that. I love that. You saw a need and you met it.
Yeah. So, and then I did have some help from my partner at the time. Her mom and stepdad helped as well. And it was just, it all coalesced to me attending. And this is where it gets really powerful. So as an actor, when you hopefully are going at 100%, but you really only get back maybe 15%. Like it's a real grind. You work really hard and you are constantly trying to get approval and you get very little approval. You get turned down more often than you actually get something. You book something. Well, when I moved to cooking, I still did my 100% hard work and I got back 200%. Like I was an insane manifester at that time and I feel like how I've reasoned it later on is that I was in tune with mission, that I was doing what I was here to do because it was crazy, Emily. I got out of culinary school. I started building my resume. I was working with like big celebrities and I don't even know how they found me, but they came to me. Like somehow they found me. And then like before that, I would like say to myself, I want to go cook for a music band and travel across the US. And then like 2 weeks later, hey, do you want to be the Vans Warped Tour, vegan vegetarian chef? And I was like, okay, like it would just be stuff like that. It would just materialize after I said it out loud.
That is so cool. And that is such a good lesson that we are allowed to shift. We are
It was scary
allowed.
though. It was very scary. Like so here I was in my 30s. I was getting a little bit of work as an actor, but not an enormous amount. And then I was substitute teaching, and I was probably making like $27 an hour as a substitute teacher, something close to that. And I finished my externship at a Malibu retreat where people are getting off drugs and stuff. And I finished that, and they offered me a job, and it was for I think $7 or $9 an hour.
Oh my
And I was in my
gosh.
30s, and I was just like, I can't even survive off of this. So I just cried because I was like, I don't know how to turn this into a career. I don't because that's the thing too. When you go to a culinary school to be a private chef, there is no blueprint. Like there's no one saying like, okay, this is how you do it. This is what you charge, and this is how you go about doing it. Like there's no school for it. You just kind of fall into it. And I was lucky enough to find someone else who was doing it, and she mentored me. But that's kind of how it is. It's just everyone just kind of mentoring each other. And now there's a bit more monetization about how to do it, and there's more job groups that are supporting it. But back in the day, there was nothing. And so I was like, I don't know how to make this a career. I don't know how to get enough payment to survive. And I can't, I'm in my 30s. I cannot feel, I do not want to take a job that is something a high schooler would do. I can't do that. That would feel like such a step down for me, in terms of what I had gained as a adult and as a person. I feel like to a degree, like that is an argument towards making sure people are paid more, because it's like if you're in your 30s and you're getting paid under $10, it's really hard to feel self-dignity. It's really, really hard. Um, and so I said no. Or I knew I was going to say no, but I think I just was like, well, I'll get back to you. And I just sat in that and I cried that first day I got the call. And then I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was kind of, in a sense, talking out loud and trying to put it out there to the universe of like, you know, what is it I really want? And I was like, well, I want a private chef. And then, no joke, I got a call out of the blue. Someone had called the school and they were looking for a private chef for this CBS news anchor, fairly well known one in LA at the time. And the school had recommended me, so they gave my info, and they called me directly. Well, what's so wild is that the person starts telling me, okay, this is what we're looking for someone who will calorie count, make sure that everything is like fitting this person's specific diet, and minding their P's and Q's in terms of like making sure that their restricted fat and all that. They had all these philosophies of what they thought was healthy. And they said, so does that work for you? Can you do this? And here I am needing that work. And I said, No." And they were like, why? I don't understand. Why do you not want to do this? I said, because I don't believe what you're asking me to do is healthy. And I said, I believe that if you're eating real food and we make everything from scratch, that you don't have to worry so much about calories, that if anything, it's what you really need to do is just make sure you're eating all real food and you're eating the things I prepare and you're not diverging from that. And I talked to her, about why to me that mattered is like it's not necessarily that we're eating too much food. It's the issue is that we're eating the wrong foods. And so if we get off these ultra processed foods and we look for foods that are ingredients versus have ingredients, that the body will start to feel safe and it won't hold on to all that water, it won't hold on to all that fat. It will release and find its equilibrium because it will feel safe with the food that you're eating. And I didn't say it like that now. I'm much more articulated about it now. But I spoke from my heart to her, and the other side went quiet for a second. And then she said, okay, we'll do what you just said. And I was her private chef for 2 years.
Oh my gosh. That is such a good example of standing in your truth. You couldn't be, hired help. You couldn't just be like, oh, okay, but knowing that you're not giving the best choice for the customer.
Yeah, I couldn't be inauthentic. I couldn't just be a cook for hire. Like I had to be like, you don't understand. I didn't get into this just to be a cook. Like I got in because I really wanted to help people. And so I studied nutrition as well. And I learned how to prepare food so that it was most absorbable and most nutrient dense. Because that's the thing. A lot of people don't talk about the how. They just talk about the what. And it's like, it's not just about what, there's lots of foods that, let's say, the carnivore community will say, well, these are not good for you. And there's lots of foods that the vegan community will say, these are not good for you. But who's right? Who's wrong? Well, of course, if you're in that camp, you'll say the other person's wrong. But the reality is historically, ancestrally, humans have always been resourceful. So we're not necessarily bent towards a specific diet ancestrally. We weren't. Like we weren't just like all meat or we weren't all vegetable. We actually ate whatever the resources were of where we lived.
And for
So
that time of the year.
exactly. So if there were berries growing on a bush, you ate them. if there was animals that you could kill, you killed them. If there were insects you could get sustenance from, you ate them. Like we were resourceful. We weren't singular, entities like that boxed ourselves in based on, dogmatic principles. Like we have to remember ancestrally food or flavor equaled nutrition. And the biggest communication point that we had with ourselves and with our environment around food was, is this food going to nourish me or is it going to kill me? But though that was a huge important question because the nourish part was key, but the other side really you could die, right? It's like it was a very life sustaining life serious question. But we forget that this human body that we're in, this Homo sapien body, was everything in it was designed to for that outcome. Everything. So all the communication points were designed to tell us, is this food going to nourish us or kill us or make us sick if you want to be lighter about it, right? And so that's why it's so alarming. And that's why I talk about food of like, well, does this food make your body feel safe or does it put it in alarm? Because really, that's really what we're dealing with more now is we're dealing with these ultra processed foods that the body does not recognize, that does not understand. And if anything, it's tricking. Like, so, like, even just using strawberries as an example, if you eat a product that has strawberry flavored products or, ingredients, but has no strawberries, well, the body is biologically designed to know that, okay, if I eat a strawberry and it has flavor, that strawberry flavor, that is telling me that I am going to get nutrition on the other end of it. But now we're eating products that have strawberry flavor that trick our body and think nutrition's coming, but there's never ever the nutrition. So your body is literally in a state of not only confusion, but then those ingredients that are in that product are causing inflammation or causing some kind of alarm in the body to make your body feel unsafe.
Oh my goodness. The there's so many layers to this understanding, and that has brought you to this moment in July of 2025, that it's not just about, a pretty plate. It's also about number one, the person eating it. And then like you said, the absorption of the food. Um, I love that about the strawberries because so many people are like, oh, well, I have, my little sugar-free, soda that's like strawberry flavored. What are you telling yourself? And I even would argue that gum does that because whenever you're chewing gum, you're sending this message to the brain that food is coming. So all the digestive enzymes come in and like they're like, okay, we're having a meal and nobody's at the party. And it's just like confusion to the body.
It could be. I mean, I think that there were things that we chewed on in the, ancestrally. I think there were natural things that we did. So I think though that chewing was, you know, back in the day was possibly, it wasn't tied to the flavor like you're saying. So gums have these flavors, and I think it's really that and the sugars or the sugar alcohols or the fake sugar, whatever they're using. I think those ingredients are what's throwing our body off, but the actual act of chewing, I think, has its place. Like I think it's a form of distraction. I think it's a form of like jaw exercise. Not that our
Yeah.
ancestors needed that, but I think we need that more than they did. Um, I think that it's also a way to clean teeth,
Mm.
So, but I think though, to your point, like they were chewing on things that are way more natural back. It might have been like some fibrous material or a reed or something like that. Something that
Yeah.
they would just chew on and to be able to spit out. I mean, obviously, tobacco has been around a long time as well, and so I'm sure there were forms of not just smoking it, but other forms of like chewing it too.
Yeah, and talking about ancestral, because what I'm hearing from your story is that you found at 13, 14, or 12 your center of brilliance. because I believe that we all have this center of brilliance. We all have this one thing that we're really, really just naturally good at, and it lights us up. And so you found that with that. But also, you have shifted also and talked a lot about ancestrally. And I see so much just because I, met you in real life and the conversations that we have that you are an orator. You are absolutely not only are you just able to have a conversation about your thoughts, but you pulled out things out of me through our conversations and through your questions and your curiosity and literally the environment. You gave me an environment to be safe and to
Mm.
just share who I was. So, tell us a little bit about Everyday Ancestral, because this is a newer project for you. But it is equally your center of brilliance. It is equally something so beautiful about James Barry.
Well, thank you. That's a beautiful articulation of a beautiful way to look at it. It's just I like that. Yeah, you said a word there that is to me one of the most important traits of being a human, and it's curiosity. And I think we've lost a lot of that. I think people walk around very pessimistic and very have a lot of assumptions as they enter things. And I think the more that we can be curious every day, in every moment,
With
the
every
more
person.
with every person, the more centered we can be, and the more I think not only will you have better conversations, but you'll see that you as an entity are more open to not only your environment but the people around you. And so I really try to model that, and that's one of the things that we talk about on the podcast every day. Ancestral, as we say, I usually finish the every episode with "Stay curious," and
Really? Oh, I
I
didn't pick
do.
that up. I didn't pick that
Yeah,
up.
I usually I'm pretty consistent, but that's definitely one of our things is stay curious and or be curious. And ultimately what the everyday ancestral is I I'm not one of those kind of people that's like gonna walk around with my shirt off like barbarian style and be like everyone should be eating organ meats and need to, step back into caveman days and be like Liver King or something like that. Like I do not believe that that's realistic. Like as a chef over the last 20 years, like what is intriguing to me about health is not just what is healthy, but what's actually like doable. Because if it's not sustainable, then it's snake oil, even though it might be real. But if you don't do it, it doesn't work. And I think we forget about that accountability. And with any choice we make, is it's got to be something like if you're going to be married, it's got to be someone you can see yourself changing with. It's got to be, if you're gonna adopt some new health paradigm, it's got to be something you can sustain. Like we have to be in it for that long run if it's something that's about lifestyle and making change, lasting change. And so I always look through that lens of like, okay, here's this new diet. And is it actually something that's going to be sustainable? Or here's a detox. Well, but is that actually going to be sustainable? Is that going to work? And I find that most things don't pass this test. Like I would say almost nearly all of them that I've seen in the last 20 years, like the diets and the different health tools and the different foods that have come out, they're just not, they don't hit two things that I think are very important, and that's ease and they've got to be delicious. So for something food wise to become a lifestyle, you've got to be easy for people to incorporate, and you've got to be so delicious that they'll eat it. Like you'll eat it. And the reason why is because we're battling up against our humanity, and our humanity is like, okay, well, we're inconsistent. We're we have good days, we have bad days, we um and we like comfort. We like regularity. We like things that are safe that we can expect the next, like repetitive. And so when something is easy, that means I could have a bad day or I could be scared and I'm still not limited on whether I can do it or not. And then if they're delicious, well, then I could be having the things I just mentioned, that bad day or being fear or high emotions. And it's something that's good. So it's going to feel nourishing to me. It's exciting to eat, right? But when you hit those two things, then it's easy. It's easy to be lifestyle. It's easy to just like go for it. And that's really why that's what I look for. And that's why I made Pluck the way I made it, is because to me, okay, organ meats are that ancestral, and this is why I kind of went down this path, is like, well, why do I focus on ancestral? It's like, well, because I believe that many of the ancestral principles, and when I say ancestral, I'm not just referring to cave person days. I'm talking like it could be even just anything in the past. It could be something you experienced with your grandparents. It could be something you experienced 2 years ago. To me, that is ancestral. Anything that's in the past is an ancestral concept.
Mm.
And as if you're feeling like me, like I have felt the last, I don't know, 10 years, maybe even longer, the acceleration of modern life. Like I have felt like really not in tune with where life is going and the things that are expected of me and the way that things are touted as being easier, but they actually feel harder. And so I feel really misaligned with the life that we now call modern live, like just the life that we're all live, like at least in the cities. I know it's different in different regions, but the life that I'm living in these cities that I've lived in feels out of tune with what I believe we should be doing. But I haven't been able to shift in the way that, oh, I'm going to go live a rural life, because that even doesn't feel totally in tune with where I'm at. So what I've really kind of come to adopt is like, okay, well, I believe that the point of the ancestral concepts is to not go backwards, but is to take the best of those and to bring them forward. And so that's why, like, pluck to me is a perfect example, because I'm taking the ancestral concept of eating the whole animal, not just the ribeye, but like eating as much of that animal as possible. Because in the past, there is no point in history where we would have disregarded any part of that resource, because it took too much to kill an animal. And you need to use all of the resources. And even later on, we still ate as much as we could because we didn't have other things to get that sustenance. We had to get our sustenance from as much of the animal as possible. But I get it that most people don't want to eat the organs, or they have ideas of what it's going to taste like. So I was like, perfect. We'll take freeze dried and powdered, because freeze dried is a modern preservation technique. It's still the whole organ. There's nothing done to the organ. It's not even cooked. It's just raw organ, freeze dried, and then they powder it. There's no fill agents, there's nothing. So it's as close to the real thing as possible. And then I'm taking that product, that modern preservation technique, and I'm making it taste good with, organic spices and herbs. And now you just sprinkle it on your food. And now it's not requiring a new dietary change. It's not requiring you to know how to cook organ meats. Nothing. It's like you can put it on popcorn. You could put it on salad. You can put it on meat, fish, doesn't matter. If you can salt it, you can pluck it. So to me, that's a perfect example of like how to take ancestral concept and make them everyday, which is what the podcast is about. It's called Everyday Ancestral. And it's in all the discussions, we're always trying to connect these principles, these ancestral principles, to our modern life. So I'm always trying to ask guests of like, hey, you found that this works for you. So how does the listener apply it to their life? And so we're always trying to give something where anyone watching or listening to the episode can carry something away that they can act on that day. Because that's the other thing is I see all the time, whether it's at conferences or in my years, I'll see people get so excited about something. Like they'll go to that conference, like, oh my God, I learned so much. This is so amazing. And then they get home and they sit in overwhelm, because what happens is we default to what we know. It's very hard to adopt new habits. So I'm always looking for things that are habit stacking or that don't require a new habit. Like pluck, for example, doesn't require a new habit. We already season our food. I'm just saying season with this rather than that. So other things might be if it's something that's already in your water, if it's something that's increasing the benefit of the water, whether it's Kangen water or I don't know whatever's out there, oxygenated water. But when it's you're already going to be drinking water, you're just doing this to it. Like I like stuff like that as long as it actually works. Um, so I'm always looking for that. Things that that I can easily assimilate into my lifestyle that will give me a health boost, but don't require a new habit.
Absolutely. It has to be applicable because if you know a thing and you don't do a thing, you really don't know a thing.
And that is the majority of what's happening. I mean, you can even just think about New Year's Eve, New Year's Day resolutions.
Yeah.
And the numbers show that most people will start the year out really excited about their whatever they're going to do, their desired outcome of losing weight or eating differently, whatever it is. And within 2 weeks, they will have no longer be doing that change. Like they drop it within. I think the numbers show like most people drop it within a week. Then the next number's two, but that almost nearly like the highest percentage is done by 4 weeks. So clearly, that was not an achievable goal they set. And I just, to me, that's just being yo-yo about it. It's like, what's the point? Like, are we going to keep making these decisions that make us feel bad about ourselves, that make us shame our bodies, that make us like kind of be really hard on ourselves? Are we going to
Yeah.
make choices that are going to be really like create lifestyle changes, sustainable changes that help support a positive outlook and make us feel better in our body? And here's why to me that's so important. It's because we treat people how we feel. So if
Hmm.
I can support you in feeling better in your body, then not only are you going to feel better, but you will treat people better. And then we have a better world. So I really think it starts with like, how do we help people feel better in their body? And sometimes it's, yeah, I think organ meats will help, but I think also sometimes it's just listening. Like actually listen to the people. Don't pretend you're listening and waiting to talk, but actually listen because most people don't feel seen. They don't feel heard. Maybe another one is just touch, like actually spending time with someone and actually like touching them, like whether it's a hug or holding hands or even just a simple like, hand on the forearm, anything that connects our humanity. Because as we had a great guest on our podcast, you pointed out before we got on,
Yeah. Mary Ruddick right
Mary Reddick,
here.
and she talked all about how, and there's numbers out there like the worst, it's worse than alcoholism is isolation.
Hmm.
And sadly, that is one of the biggest things that is causing trauma in our lifetime is isolation. And so what can we do to support community? What can we do to not feel so isolated? And I guarantee it's not on that black screen, that handheld black screen that everyone has. It's like it's it's through putting that down and actually having conversations and through physical touch and using as many of these senses that we have, whether it's hearing, touch, eyesight, taste, anything. But the more you can use your senses, the more you will feel alive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I loved that conversation that she had, talking about I believe she said microbes,
Yeah.
that we actually need each other's microbes. Like we need
Yep.
to share that.
Yeah. It's fascinating because if you watch like that what's that mushroom movie Fantastic Microbes or
Or,
Microcilium or something like that. It's
yeah, mycelium.
miraculous mycelium. Yeah, and there's a piece in that documentary where they talk about how there's these mushroom underneath the ground. There are these connections that these mushrooms have that are um, very very extensive. Like so, you can have like one that's I don't know, like in one state and it goes all the way to another state. And basically, if you pull the mushroom in that one state, the mushroom in the other state will feel it because they're all connected.
Yeah,
And you learn about that stuff, and it's like, wow, like I have to imagine that we're similar, but we're just so out of out of tuned to feeling that and being mindful in our day that we don't feel it. We're not aware that it's happening, but it is. Like that when you're disconnected from your neighbor or when someone else is getting hurt, that you're getting hurt too.
Mm, that's so true. And so therefore it does become our work to meet that need of our neighbor. Because if it's happening to him or happening to her, it's happening to me. I
Yeah.
feel it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we become so desensitized, with the screens and everything. We've become so detached from that connection. And it's actually our greatest strength is community, is being together.
It's what being human, it defines humanity, but yet I think we've forgotten that, or we're not being as mindful about that as we could be.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, and I love how you said that it needs to be, obviously applicable, but it needs to be easy and have that comfort. Because we are so hard on ourselves with that, like, New Year's resolution of the message I'm sending to myself is that I am not enough. The message I'm sending to myself is step up, do better. You're not enough where you're at. And instead, to be able to send the message of, let's make an easy change. Let's make a delicious change. Let's make a comfortable change.
Something we do every new year, and so um no matter when someone listens to this episode, just know that whatever month you're in, as you get closer to December and as you enter the first week of January of any given year, we do this thing with Pluck where we call it or the Organuary Challenge. And what it is we're trying to basically hijack that whole, New Year's resolution kind of concept, but we're basically saying, hey, let's instead of trying to do that, let's just ease into this. And we do a challenge where we not only focus on regenerative farming and really great products, animal-based products, and just eating whole animal, but we also challenge you to just start including organ meats into your diet once a week. And it could be pluck, it could be anything. And then you win these prizes, and it's a really phenomenal, easy but fun challenge. And the winner usually gets like I don't remember now. It might be 7,000 this year, $8,000 worth of products. It's cool. It's a really, really fun challenge. And the feedback we get is amazing because it's these little movements. You cannot underestimate, like when you start to get a nutritionally powerful, rich food like organ meats that's so easily absorbed into your body and that makes your body feel safe because it's an ancestral food that's unadulterated, right? You cannot underestimate the power of even just getting that in a little bit and how much it starts to change your choices that you make, how you feel in your body, how you start to show up in the world. It's amazing. th- we sometimes we're focusing on like weight loss, but it's like, no, if you just got more nutrients in your diet and felt sustained, you actually probably wouldn't have all the cravings you're having that are forcing you to eat more food than you need. So once again, I go back to this. It's like it's not about are we what foods we're eating, but it's more about how are we eating these foods, And it's like, are we getting, or I guess sorry, I'm really saying that wrong, but it's like, I'm more saying like, it's not about are we eating too much food or too little, but it's about focusing on what foods am I choosing to eat. So that's really what I'm trying to say is like, that we want to focus on getting those nutrient rich foods. Actually, I can even company it like or kind of encapsulate it like this. So this is my food pyramid. It's very simple.
Okay.
So top of the pyramid is you eat foods that have flavors found in nature. So not natural flavors, but foods with flavor found in nature. So very natural, ideally no added flavors, right? Then in the middle of the pyramid, nutrient dense foods. Okay. Then at the bottom of the pyramid, now just eat those things mindfully. So be mindful about the choices you make and be mindful as you make them. And really, if you notice, the mindfulness is like the majority of what we need to do. But if you just do those three things, I guarantee if you're someone who's overweight, the weight will just melt off. I guarantee you will make different choices because not only are you going to be more mindful about the choices you're making, but you're going to be more mindful as you eat things and you're going to feel how your body feels when you eat them and you're not going to check out and you're going to, the more we tune in and you find that you start making different choices because you don't want to feel bad. We don't.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because I originally my handle was at Carnivore Minds because I was talking about mental health with the carnivore way of eating. And I quickly realized that I had many clients come to me who carnivore was not the best fit for them.
Yeah.
And I even had people that said, I wish I could work with you, but I can't be carnivore. And I'm like, you don't have to be carnivore. So I shifted it to inner clarity because everybody has that inner knowing, that inner GPS, that communication with your body. And I think, like what you just said, is I could be sitting in front of the best meal ever. And if I'm just scarfing it down and I'm just like thinking about my to-do list and I'm just like, I'm a
Or
piece of
watching.
shit. Yeah, or watching TV or whatever, then it's not nutrient dense food because I'm not eating it mindfully. And I could be sitting, like I was in a situation where I had to eat something that was of lower quality. And so I blessed it. And I thanked it. I thanked the person who made it. I thanked the animals. I thanked the, vegetables. I thanked everything about it. And I feel that it was more nutrient dense because of the way that I ate it and how I ate it mindfully instead of like, oh, this is going to kill me. This is going to give me inflammation. This is going to be horrible for me. No, it was the best
Absolutely.
thing that I could have right then.
Oh, there's been experiments done where they have people eat foods that they normally would make them, have a stomach ache or have issues, and they have them eat them where they don't know what it is, So they've done blind tests, they've done even tests where you're just focusing on being positive and you're only being kind of you're skewing that perspective so that the person is not thinking about what the previous outcomes they've had when they've eaten the food, but they're more thinking of very joyful and healing outcomes. And in the experiments, the people have no issues. So, this kind of placebo effect is very powerful and exists for a reason. And I'm a big proponent of, you know, there's so many things out there that we don't understand. There's so many already experiments and testimonies of things where people have experience things that we also don't understand or don't doesn't compute, but and that seem kind of miracle based. That I just think it's to our in the vein of what we started with, of like stay curious. Like it's important to not just can't say, oh well, that's not possible. It's like, but it is. Someone is experiencing something that you didn't think was possible out there right now. And so if that's true, then maybe instead of just saying, well, that doesn't work, just be curious and just say maybe it could. I mean, there is this concept of like, if you think about it, food is there's water in it. There's water and water has space and energy can pass through that. And so there's so much you can do. You can put intention while you're cooking it. You can be intentional when you're purchasing it. You can say grace as you're about to eat it. You can then eat as you're eating it, slow down and really focus and make sure you're around people that you really love to be around. Because you can find what works for you. Is my point. It's like don't just assume like anything we're saying like, oh, you have to be mindful while you're eating food means you can't be doing anything except focusing on your chewing. It's like no, if you just think about this, like let's just say you're someone who's like, this is all too woo-woo. I don't know about that. Well, just sit at a table with food that's made from scratch. That's all was an ingredient that you made, that you turned into a meal. And make sure that at that table with you is at least one or two other people, or even a host of people that are all people that really make you feel good, that you just laugh with, you have such a good time with, and then eat that meal. And I promise you, you don't have to think one iota about that meal, but just be around these people that make you feel joy. And I promise you that that meal will be joyful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could not have said that better myself. So I didn't ask you if you have a hard stop. Do you have a couple more minutes?
Yeah, I have a few more.
Okay. So I love how you said if you can salt it, you can pluck it. That was perfect. How did you come up with the name Pluck for your product?
It's actually I think it's 15th century term for animal organs.
No way.
Yeah, the branding company that we worked with, they found it, and when I heard it, I was like, "Oh, that's brilliant." Um, yeah, they used to say, you want your pluck with that, and they were referring to the animal organs like the liver, the lung, the heart.
I love
Yeah,
that. I love
yeah.
that. And then my last question is how did you or how was it for you to make that transition? Because again, it's going from acting to being a chef. And then how did you go from being a chef to being the producer of this product? I mean, I'm sure you had to learn a whole new skill set.
Yeah, no, and I still am learning, of course. I mean, I feel like I'm an eternal learner. I so I was a private chef, and then I left cooking. I was cooking for Tom Cruise,
That's
and
so cool.
yeah,
It's
it
so
was cool.
cool.
I was cooking for Tom Cruise, and I felt unfulfilled. Like I really enjoyed him. It has nothing to do with him. It was great working with him. I was making money. It was busy. It was exciting, but I still felt like I'm here to help more than just one person. And I didn't really know exactly what that looked like, but I decided, well, I'm going to start a meal delivery service so then that way I can still prepare the food the way I do with my philosophy, but reach more people and try to make it more affordable. And so I went down that path and I started a meal delivery service. Um, did not know what I was doing, but I worked so hard at it and I ran that thing. I, um, it killed me though because I was like, starting, I was covering it myself. I didn't really understand the business. And I had to have other jobs to do it. Like it was just like I felt like, and this happens all the time in the health field, but like the practitioner or the healthy chef in my case, whatever it was, that person who's trying to help other people with their health, the one person in that relationship whose health suffers is the practitioners or the healthy chef. It's so hard when you're trying to help others to also help yourself, and we usually abandon ourselves in those moments. And I felt like that. I felt like, oh my gosh, I don't work out anymore. I don't have time to eat properly. I don't just not taking care of myself. And I never had time off. So it just didn't feel like it didn't feel scalable. And so I basically then tried to sell it. I sold it to a group that I knew were not the right group, but I just had to get out, and then it was kind of a disaster. Like they paid me at first and then they just stopped paying me. And so I probably could have sued them, but I just was like, I just was so overwhelmed at the time. And we had just had our second kid. And so I then became a stay-at-home dad as we just put focus on my wife's business, paying the bills. And I just helped her and she was doing an awesome job. So she, she kind of did that. And then I was a stay-at-home dad. And during that time, I got my health back. I,
So wait, you got to fulfill your 12, 13-year-old. You were made sure you were a family man.
that's true. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess so.
Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, no, that's funny. and it was some of the hardest work I've ever done. I mean, hats off to anyone that's a stay-at-home parent. It is so hard. It's crazy making because it's so repetitive. It's the same thing every day when they're a certain age, and it's just I struggled with it a lot. But during that time, I got my health back. I rested a lot with our youngest, and then I got my creativity back, and that's when I came up with the idea for Pluck. So I really built Pluck based off of that experience of okay, like Pluck is very different for me. And I'm still, of course, learning, like I mentioned, but for Pluck is an online program, first of all, or online product company. So it's 24/7. So really, it's all about making sure that that tech is working properly. It's about making sure that that communication point is there so people understand, hey, if you reach out to us, we may not get back to you for 24 hours or 48 if it's a weekend, but like we will get back to you. So it was really about communication and tech. But then also, I was very aware as I started to form the company, I was like, the work week that we have in America is not the same work week that other countries have. And I started to really piece that together and go, like, this idea of how many hours we should be available and how much what our work week should look like is fictional. It's really it could be whatever we decide. And so then I started to kind of go, okay, well, what is the lifestyle I want? What is the priority? And for me, it was like, well, I want to make sure I'm being a dad. Like I want to make sure that I'm around for my kids. And I want to make sure that I have clear boundaries so that I can make sure that I'm still taking care of my health, that I don't abandon myself like I previously did. So I built the business where I made it so that I could go work out in the mornings and then come home, be a father to my kids, help get them to school, and then work, and then be somewhat available when they got out of school, but then have a really hard stop though at that 5 o'clock. And and it's really been so much better. So much better. And I would choose I would not, I don't regret anything because obviously I wouldn't have known to do that had I not had that other experience. But I definitely encourage anyone that's thinking of starting a business, instead of like thinking that you have to be everything for everyone, just start with how can you be, who can you be for yourself and see if that is enough and start building the business from there because it's like we don't serve anyone when we're unhealthy, when we're falling apart, when we're getting little sleep, when we're not modeling what we're trying to provide to the world, we don't do anyone good. And I guarantee it's not sustainable. It's just not.
No, no, that is so beautiful. And to be honest, I was just bebopping around in my life and, going to meet stock and meeting all these people, and meeting you stopped me in my tracks. And you revealed to me, you held up a mirror and showed me that I was abandoning myself. And I had no clue. It was not on my radar at all until I was able to be seen by someone who reflected that back to me and reflected back, not abandoning myself. And so I'm forever. I am literally, I know this is a big dramatic statement, but I am eternally grateful for wearing this shirt and for being able to meet you because you have changed the trajectory of my life by me recognizing that I was not choosing me. And so now I am actively, daily choosing me. And I have seen the pieces of my life fall into place to serve that. I
Mm.
thought that it would blow up and it would destroy, my family and my friends and everything. And it has made me actually better able to serve them because I serve me first. So that is a perfect example that you were for choosing you and not abandoning yourself. And thank
Well,
you for
thank you.
reflecting that.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, you know, so much of life is timing, right? And um, I just started bleeding on my nose. That's funny. Um, so much of life is timing, and I think we clearly met at a place where it was the timing was right. But just to reflect back to you, what I saw in you is, and what I continue to see in you is someone that is listening and open. Like we are all of us are constantly getting downloads. We're constantly getting information. It's constant. But the issue is not that it's not that we're not getting a message or the right message or the judgment of whatever the message is. It's that we are not actually listening.
Mm.
So we don't see them. Because the right or wrong is a judgment, but the messages are happening all the time. I mean, I could literally list five right now that were so bizarro, and yet I can't, they're undeniable. Like, and obviously the way we met too is undeniable. Like something happened there, and Angela, Meat-Based Medium was part of that as well. It's like that something happened, and it was like undeniable to the point where even other people saw it. And they were like, what the F
What's
just
going
happened?
on?
Like, what is going on over there? But it was so powerful. I don't know. I didn't plan that. I wasn't heady about that. It just happened. And so to me, that's like, it's a perfect convergence of people that are in their power and or that are open and willing and to lean in and risk that relationship by sharing their hits or their thoughts. And so I guess all to say is like, yes, like I'm grateful that I was in that place to be able to do that and feel that and acknowledge that. But I still am in complete awe of where you because these kind of things are happening all the time to people. But you were available to it. You were open to it. You were listening and you took it in. And
I like
yeah,
gripped onto it. I was like, oh, okay, this is for me. And
yeah,
then I came home and I ran with it.
right. But that's what I'm saying. That is unique to timing and you. And that
Yeah.
can't be disregarded. Like that is key. Because I promise you, people listening, these signs are happening to you too. Because I even feel sometimes like lately you've been sharing a lot of your process and all these things, and I'm listening to you and I'm going like, oh my gosh, she's such a manifester. And, da, da, da. And like there's a part of me that's like, God, I wish I was like that. But really, like part of me is like, gosh, I wish I was feeling like that in my own life. And then I just had to remember, I'm like, well, wait a second. I probably am. I'm just not listening. And so the reality is like, yeah, we go in and out. Just like if you ever try to meditate, it's really the challenge of meditation is not to just to think of well, the challenge is to like to be quiet for a little bit, but also just it's not about holding on to one thought. It's about letting yourself go in and out of thoughts and not holding on to any one thing. And that's what I think was is so beautiful is like that these are happening all the time around us, but we just have to be willing to be curious and be open to that maybe they are there and then maybe they'll show up
And
more.
it goes back to, I'm sorry, or what?
Well, maybe they'll show up more vibrantly, like more clearly. Because I do believe they're happening, but I just think sometimes it's very soft because we're kind of like not really listening or we're not really like looking for these connecting points.
Absolutely, because I was not looking for that at all. But what I realized is that it's important for us to when we are presented with this divine connection that we have eyes to see and ears to hear. Like I wasn't expecting it and everything, and then I it was like I like was like smacked like right into that connection with you and Angela and at Meatstock in the mountains in a cabin on the top of a mountain, you know what I mean? But I could have easily walked right past that. And
Yeah.
so I
We
had
all could have. I mean, for the listener or the watcher, like you have to understand this was not a mind, like this was not a moment of like, oh, let's all sit down on pillows and like let's like talk about our feeling. Like this was, we were literally walking past each other about to maybe even say goodbye, or I don't even know what it was like such a brief encounter that became something really deep, and I can't explain it more that than it was just like it was convergence of energy, but it was also like timing. It was just we were all right available to be right there. And it started with just you and I, and then Angela saw something happening and came over. It was like but it really it's a that openness, that curiosity is key. And um I have to think that it's also part of it is, at least for myself, and I have to think for Angela as well, is like I think there's also a mentality of how can I be of service in this? Like, what is this situation? What is this environment asking of me? And one of the things I'm always trying to be mindful of is like, how can I leave this environment or this situation better than it was when I got here? And I think that that willingness and curiosity for that is what enables me to be in that moment and just go like, okay, whoa, something's here right now. How can I be of service to it? And then boom.
absolutely. And I believe that this is a preview of what's to come whenever we can shift into more of a conscious community. And you like you did. You saw the need. You saw that I did not recognize that I was abandoning myself. And then you just became curious and you asked questions. And then I uncovered some emotions that I didn't know were there. And then you and Angela were of service just right there. It wasn't like, okay, we need to make an appointment for another time to talk and let's have step one, two, and three. Like, no, you guys were just a willing and useful vessel
Yeah, we
for,
held space. We held space
yes, for
for what you were
love to
feeling.
just
Yeah.
flow through. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
it's fascinating. I mean, I think you're kind of making me realize like you got to give props to Scott with his meat stock in that moment, because I think the power, at least of how it's previously been set up. I don't know if he's going to be able to do this every year, but like how it was set up where everyone was kind of like stuck in a space together for a few days before the event, and was just kind of come in and out of each other's orbits. Um, and it became less kind of like almost like casual, you know, instead of calculated and planned. That I think because of that, moments like this were able to surface. Because there was no kind of like, okay, I got to go somewhere else. You know, it was very casual, and it was like we could just be present to that casualness and
yeah,
the lack of agenda.
yes, yes, absolutely. We were just standing in the living room with like 30 other people, just right there at the kitchen. Um, and I, I'm so grateful for events like this for, Meat Stock. Um, and I think that there is something to be said about people who, the majority of us have cleared out the sugar and the processed food out of our bodies, and that we have more of a clear connection, that we're not as distracted by our addiction and our control of food, that we have more energy and space to be able to have these conscious conversations.
Yeah,
So here's meat stock. Oh, there's Mary Reddick. Yay.
that's
Um,
for 2026, right?
yes, yes, this is for Meat Stock 2026. But I am forever grateful that I was there at Meat Stock 2025 and that I met you. Um, So I'm going to put all of these links in the show notes because I think that there's so much more of this conversation, this everyday ancestral conversation that we should have. Go ahead.
Oh no, because I know where you're gonna go, and then we have our Instagram and our TikTok as well, and those
Yes.
have what's kind of exciting is we have three main mediums or three main content portals that we're really focusing on, and one is the podcast Everyday Ancestral. The other is our articles that we on our blog. They're really fantastic. We have this great practitioner who helps us write those, and she and I will brainstorm around topics. Um, but it's on our website under Discover and then the blogs.
Oh, awesome.
But then we advertise it on Instagram and on TikTok as well. But they're just really, really great articles and interesting things. And then we have our recipe section as well. And so we post all that stuff on our website, but then we advertise it to, bring people to that part in our website on Instagram and TikTok.
Oh my gosh, my son is going to be so happy because he right now he found this hot honey and he'll take bacon and he'll pour hot honey on it.
Yeah.
So he is gonna love this recipe. I'm gonna do that for
He
sure.
doesn't find it too sweet though, because bacon's already sweet.
That's what I think, but he's already he's 17, so he already, eats donuts and
You
cakes,
might
fat
suggest though that he
cakes.
try it with pork belly, because pork belly is just the pork, it's just there's nothing, it's not cured, there's no sugar on it, nothing. So then you can really like cut it really thin. You can make it into um, kind of flavor it however you want, and it will take on whatever flavor and not be too extreme either way, too salty or too sweet.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, to be continued because we're gonna continue these amazing conversations pretty much for life. So I'm so grateful to have met you and uh, to have manifested you like I did that.
You did it. You're
Um,
still doing it.
I'm still doing it. And thank you so much for your story because I know that it's going to give the listeners such hope that you get to choose you and it gets to work out and it
Mhm.
gets to be beautiful. And just thank you for showing us how it's done.
Thank you, and excited to get to interview you on Everyday Ancestral, so people will get to hear that as well.
Awesome. I can't wait. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.